maybe we need a Broadway. Maybe we need some Broadway out here on the streets of YouTube to lighten the mood. A good afternoon, all of my beautiful coffee beans. It's nice to see you this afternoon. I'm coming a little bit earlier today. I haven't really started on my paperwork yet because I was on TikTok, and people on TikTok kind of got up under my skin, so I had to give them a piece of my mind respectfully. Sorry, not sorry. And so that's going to be dropping. I got like an hour and a half of that because I was going over Trump. And, I was just talking about the thing about some of the information from the shooter, Dan Bongino, a bunch of that. And then one of these unhinged people that can't handle the truth decided to lie and, hit my account. And it took my live down. But I appealed the process and I won my appeal, which is hard to do when you're talking about Trump. So I literally kept it all above board. And so I seamed all of my 3 videos together. It's about an hour and a half long. And I will be dropping that probably an hour after we're done here. And we'll do that in a premiere so we can all chat. It is going to upset a few people. And I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely 100% okay with opening a can of worms here on YouTube, right? I've never deterred. I never faltered. I do what I do because I do what I do, and nobody's going to stop me because I'm doing everything lawfully and legally. And that's just how we roll. I just wanted to tell Ren again, thank you. Thank you. I had like 1 pod left, so mwah, 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 mwah. I decided to go with a cappuccino instead of a latte. So we got a cappuccino going right now. And as you know, this is one that Jen sent me. I think she sent me 2. Maybe, was this Karen or Jen? I don't remember who sent me this one. I don't have the time or the crayons to explain this to you. That's how I feel about the day. It's nice to see you, Donna. Nice to see you, Candy. Nice to see all the people that are watching from the bushes, trying to stab me. Oh my God, what's Betty going to say? I'm going to say a lot. I'm going to say a lot, and I hope I offend the people that should be offended, and I hope I show love to the people that deserve the love, right? That's how I kind of roll up in here. We're going to be talking about Sebastian Rogers, the 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Oh, and don't forget, all the new people here, you're going to want to subscribe because we've got these things called trolls on here, and I control my chat. I don't let my chat go, girls gone wild. We controlled my chat here on TikTok, YouTube, as well as TikTok. So since we have a bunch of unhinged, obsessed, enraged lunatics on this platform, I've decided to put a 5-day, you must subscribe to me for a minimum of 5 days before you can chat. That is for your enjoyment as well as mine, okay? Because I get sick and tired of hearing these doofuses that don't have any place on my channel. They don't believe like we believe. They don't act like we act. They are deranged lunatics that need to be on a deranged lunatics channel, not this channel where we have adults and we like to adult and talk about cases. This is where we all can have an opinion, whether differing, but you don't get to be a jerk on here. If anybody's going to be a jerk on Bullhorn Betty's channel, it's going to be Bullhorn Betty. Period. Right? Don't take my job. Don't take my job. I think I do my job very well, right? I piss a few people off. I make a few people happy. Hey, we're going to call it a day. Call it a day. So, we have a few things to go over. I know there's a lot of there was a lot of disgruntledness on TikTok. I'll just say hi to all my beautiful people that are here so far. Donna B, Candy, Just Deb, it's nice to see you, my love. Jennifer, Amy, Ruby, it's nice to see you. Medic Biker, oh, I like that. Medic Biker. Do you actually have a zoom, zoom, brum, brum, brum? My ex-husband sent me, he just got a Harley Davidson Ultra Glide, because my ex-husband's a little weird, I mean, weird but not weird, okay? Him and I are still very much friends, and I don't see him like, we're obviously not married. I haven't seen him in like a year. But of course he heard what happened at the rally, and naturally he just can't say, hey, are you okay? No, he's got to reach out and say, oh, by the way, I bought a bike. How you doing? Right? So he was bragging about his bike. He's got an Ultra Glide, full black dresser that he's just, just absolutely in love with. And so he was kind of bragging about that while, checking to see what's going on in my world, which basically means, are you okay? Did you survive? And I let him know, I didn't even go to this rally. You don't have to worry about me, It's kind of funny. He's like a kid, He just can't say, hey, I heard something happen. What's going on with you? It's always, hey, how you doing? All right. So we texted a little bit. He knows I'm okay, but I got a picture of his bike, which is, I won't ride on him. I remember the last time he came here, he wanted to show me his bike, and he's like, you want to go for a spin? And, his brother ended up putting his bike down, and then, of course, he survived, but my son-in-law did not. And in all fairness, it was my son-in-law's fault that caused him to lose his life, but it doesn't make it any easier to swallow that pill, that very painful pill. And something came over me on that ride. I remember we went around the block and I just tapped on Vince's shoulder and I'm like, you need to take me home. And he's like, why? I said, my anxiety's through the roof. So I don't do bikes anymore. I tried, it had been like a year and a half, and he had gotten the new bike. So I'm like, oh, he wanted to brag about it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go take a spin. And so I couldn't do it. I literally, we went around, I think I was on the back of the bike for all of 5 minutes. And I couldn't handle it. I just, the fear of somebody hitting me or, something happening to me was just, it was, I don't know if I have PTSD from Kyle's wreck or what, but I realize I can't get on the back of a motorcycle anymore. So it is what it is. It's nice to see everybody coming in. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff, some of the rumors going around. Some of the other things that I need to address on here, because I was watching, of course, TikTok, and I saw this group chatting, and I saw this guy that, in all fairness, seems like a nice guy, but just seems like a wuss. Okay, a wuss. And that's saying it delicately. I'd like to say what I'd like to say, but with all due respect, we'll say a wuss. All right. And starts almost crying because he wasn't asked to be a part of the searches that were put on by the PI of Seth's team. The PI sent Seth and the team out to very specific locations, and this person, which from my understanding doesn't really even know how to use his sonar too well, was complaining that he had cleared that and it was a direct result of him. I can guarantee nobody knew exactly where Seth and the team went. Because I don't know exactly where Seth and the team went. So, only the team really knows. When I get there, I'll probably learn, because I'm not going to be out in the waters, but I'd like to know where they did search, so I can look at like maybe the banks or something like that in the areas that they did search, because they were out in the waters and whatnot. And if you guys hold on just 1 second, it's going to pause. I'm not going anywhere. I need to take an image and put on my messenger so I can pull it on my other phone so I can show you guys and we can talk about it. It came to me by text, so just give me a moment. It's going to look like it freezes, but I promise you I'm not frozen, okay? I'm just going to a different side and getting a photo. I want you guys to see this photo. That wasn't too bad. Hey guys, it's nice for everybody that's coming in here. So what I'd like to show you guys, and I'm just going to go through this. As many of you know, Sebastian disappeared on February 26th. We learned that February 26th is actually known to the Rogers family. That was the day that, at the time, Katie Rogers filed for divorce against Seth Rogers back in 2016. We learned that Seth and Katie were married 8 years, so a lot of people are thinking that it's very ironic that his disappearance falls on this very specific and special day for Katie Proudfoot, which her name's now Katie Proudfoot. we've learned that Chris and Katie apparently appeared to have an affair while she was married to Seth. That's kind of, you can kind of follow the timeline and deduct that most likely is the case. So did you ever get my email the other day? Oh, Teresa, I'm unsure. I've got so many emails because I've got all of this legal paperwork I'm going through right now. And so there's a lot of stuff that, this is, if you guys want to see the vault, this is everything right here, okay? This is everything. This is very large. It's becoming a very large. I'm going to be going to my second binder here in just a little bit. So I really haven't been focusing on a lot of emails. I usually, when I come live, I pick, because of what I'm dealing with. Once this is all done, then I will be back on going through the emails regularly, but I only have so much time in a day to get everything done. And I'm sure you all understand, and you've all been in a position that I've been at least once or twice in your life. So no, Teresa, it might be possible that I did not get your email. I have to go back. I can't remember. If I didn't respond to it, usually I give a thumbs up or something like that. I'm unsure. So, it is what it is, and I apologize. But I will get around to it. Hopefully it doesn't stale, but sometimes the best thing to do is just resend it to put it at the top, and hopefully I'll get it. But if you didn't get a response from me, I probably didn't get it. So with that being said, before we go on to Sebastian Rogers, I just want to touch on the Trump. You guys are going to hear an hour and a half conversation of me kind of over this young generation that the people. I don't want to paint the whole young generation with a broad brush, but there's just some people that are very evil in our country that are 20-somethings. And they absolutely wish death. A lot of people are losing their jobs right now. We've learned that at least several people that have made disgruntled posts about lack of human life and lack of caring for human life have been fired from their job. I think this country, that rhetoric, we're done. The employers are done. This acceptance of this disgusting behavior is done. And these people that have been saying this, you're stuck with it. The internet's forever. Your future is sunk. You canceled your own self out. So I just want to make that a point. The people that used to cancel culture, everybody else is now being canceled themselves. Enough in this country is enough, and you guys will hear my my talking points on that in about an hour or two when I drop that video on a premiere here on this channel, on my large channel, so that everybody can hear my message. This idea that I kowtow to people, or I somehow can be peer pressured into a leaning or not a leaning, I'm not that kind of girl. If you haven't noticed, I have no problem standing on a hill all alone. I have no problem going against the flow, and I've been doing just fine on my channels. My channels are still growing. At the end of the day, I had to realize that no matter what I do, people are going to tune in. And so I have decided that, we're going to take our channel from this drama community and into a true crime community where it belongs. And we're no longer going to ask permission or apologize for me being me. If people don't like it, they don't have to tune in, but we know they always do. So no worries over here. Never will worry again. I do a lot and people tune in. So whether they talk crap or not, it doesn't matter, right? As long as they don't try to cause me damages, like going after my channel like some dum-dum did behind the scenes and everything else, that she acts like, we're not going to be able to say anything. Okay, well, I'm not even going to go into that. I'll address it in the courts where it's supposed to be addressed. And we'll just leave it at that. I think I've said enough about that. She's triggered me enough, and I will not bow down to her nonsense anymore. She's going to have to deal with the judge, not I. So we're done with that. No, she's not going to win this lawsuit, and there's only one lawsuit. I hear that they're, just for clarification, that she thinks every time my amended complaint is is dismissed, that constitutes a new lawsuit. No, we're still all in the same exact one lawsuit that we were in before. We're getting through the initial processes of it. So since she doesn't understand how it all works, I thought I would clarify it. I understand that's why she got herself an attorney. Either way, that was her choice to do. It was her choice to raise an ungodly amount of money from her audience around Christmas time, taking many Christmas gifts from a lot of boys and girls that time of year for her own selfishness. So we'll leave that at that. Again, didn't have to say anybody's name, and definitely not giving the bee a plug. So that's just how we're going to roll. Now, getting on with Stephen Crabtree. Stephen Crabtree went out, and I'm sure Seth and the team, Seth's team, probably was very appreciative of Stephen's help. However, whenever you get some information of possible locations from your PI and you have the ability to clear those yourself, you will do that. You're not going to take somebody else's word for it. You guys know me. I don't take anybody's word for anything. I always corroborate the information myself. If something's created, I say to myself, well, if they created it, so can you. So if I can't recreate what they recreate, I debunk it, right? Because if they can do it, you can do it. And so this was a situation which I don't normally call people out by name, and I do like Stephen Crabtree. I just think his talking points are a little skewed. The problem is that he chose not to be involved with Seth's team. This was a private search with Seth's team. He's not part of Seth's team. He's not going to be involved in any type of searches or have any knowledge of those searches because he's not part of the team. I can guarantee from my understanding with everything I've talked to them over the last 4 days when they were out there, not one time was Stephen's name brought up. Nothing has anything to do with that man, and he's trying to turn everything that they do as something against him. Now, that is some BS if I've ever seen it. Stephen, get your shit together. That's all I got to say. Get your shit together because you're making yourself look like a buffoon out here to the rest of the world. And I like you, and I don't want you, and I have no way of getting a hold of you. I'll be looking up your information a little later today. Hopefully I'll be able to connect with you by way of phone just to have a conversation to see if we can get everybody back on the same page. But we'll see how that all goes. When we learned about this Sebastian Rogers case, we learned very little about the case, which was a little odd because you would think the parents would be coming out and telling us everything possible that they can possibly do, and or did, and what the environment was. And what we got is a very vague, choppy story for the day before on the 25th, February 25th, which was a Sunday. But what was provided seemed to a lot of the parents, because remember, when we first started this case, I was very ignorant to autism, to the spectrum, to all the nuances to autism, all the differences from individual to individual, the triggers, the meltdowns, a lot of people don't understand that. And it took a lot of great people putting into their 2 words, their experience of what they've gone through. Oh, thank you, Karen. Karen was just gifted. I see MTB just received that gifted membership. Don't forget to tell Karen thank you. Thank you, Karen. We learned that there were a lot of nuances when it kind of came to the autistic. But one thing I learned is that, and we said this over again, is that structure is key to them thriving in a normal society. So it has to be a very structured. Hey, Turkey Man, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Prayers for the country as always. Prayers for our young people. We got a lot of angry 20-somethings out there that think that people like me don't deserve to breathe because of the way we vote, which is insane, but they haven't realized they're insane yet. So we need to pray for them. And we need to pray for the safe return of Sebastian. Now, before we go walking down this this trail of untruths from Katie and Chris, I wanted to put out there, I've already put out there, and somebody, we got almost 300 people in here. If anybody wants to help me out, I need a flyer. I need a really nice designed flyer. I haven't picked out a time yet, so I will probably need the flyer in a program I can modify, or a way to get a hold of you to add the time in when I've selected the time. We definitely know that the location will be Sumner County Sheriff's Office. That's at 117. I forgot the word. I'll have to look it up. Where Sumner County Sheriff's Office is. But I need a nice flyer with Sebastian Rogers. We want it to convey love, and we want to convey our Sebastian Strong, Sebastian's Army. I just need something designed that looks really, that's going to stand out and draw people in, because I want as many people to know that we're doing a protest in Sebastian's honor at the Sumner County Sheriff's Department. Depending on how many people are there, we'll do some, like maybe some drinks and cake. If anybody has like little pop-up tents or a table or something like that, we can do that. Typically we do stuff like that, and whatever's left over we take into to the sheriff's department and let them, if they want to eat it, whatever, we want them to know that we care about law enforcement. We know that the men and women boots on the ground are amazing people, and that our message is to the top brass that is delegating these jobs and doing the investigation on this case, and how they're delegating that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the district attorney yet, but I think where we need to start is the law enforcement. I'm not sure what I'm going to say, but it's not going to be condemnation for law enforcement. It's not going to be condemnation for Chris and Katie, despite me wanting to. It's going to be basically demanding that forensics be done, demanding that they bring Sebastian home safely, and demanding that they approach and speak to their community. The community is in the dark. The community, no matter how you look at it, they're scared and they're upset. I've talked to people and they're still worried. They want to know what the heck happened. Although we know law enforcement can't tell us what happened, and even if they did know, they would never be able to tell us at this juncture. The fact that they've ghosted the entire world when you have a worldwide case is the most unprofessional thing that I have ever dealt with in a law enforcement agent. This is not, they're going to try to say, oh, well, we had to do, no, you didn't. Because let me tell you, one of the most quiet law enforcement agencies that I've dealt with was Moscow Police Department. And quite frankly, Fruitville Police Department. That's where the Ohio was for the Idaho 4, Idaho was the Idaho 4, Moscow, Idaho. Give me a second. Where am I getting knocking at? Why? I'm on live. Why didn't it come through the front door? No, it's not. It's open. Okay. Couldn't get you. All right, here, come get her and. All right, my mommy just got here. I don't know why she was in the back, but she was. There's a little rascal. Grandma's got Rascal. Grandma's got Rascal. Where was I? Sorry, guys. Somebody remind me where I was real quick. Sorry, I just got distracted just ever so slightly. Oh, yeah, I remember where we were. So we're going to be going to the Sheriff's Department. And again, they've ghosted the community. So we're going to be standing up and speaking up for that injustice, but it's going to be a place of love. We're going to be having bring Sebastian home signs. We're going to have, we're not going to be having lock them up or anything like that. There will be a time and a place for that as this case progresses a little bit further. But at the end of the day, my biggest problem is the fact that they haven't brought Sebastian Rogers home. They have not done forensics of his bedroom at minimum. And they still will not clear Seth so he can bring in third parties to assist Seth in this matter, the father. Now, granted, I understand law enforcement has a job to do. They're the ultimate people that can only do the investigation. But let's face it, we don't have Sebastian. So why would they care if there was a reputable group, a nonprofit group, a man that has dealt with over 300 homicides like Chris McDonough? How could something like that hurt the investigation? It will not hurt. Now, maybe they don't want to listen to some constructive criticism. That's one thing, and I understand it. But you know what? Chris McDonough seems like a very professional person that if he had constructive criticism, would have constructive criticism in love, right? He seems like he wouldn't be like, why did you do this, you a-hole? He seems like he's more of an educator and explains things like, the reason why we do this is because of X, Y, Z, and C. And by failing to do it, this is why it produced the complication that it does, So like, I feel like that's the case. And I also feel like there are some influences coming from Katie Bowersox. I feel like there was influences that day with boots on the ground with law enforcement from Kathy Bowersox as well as Katie Proudfoot, that when they lied to law enforcement, they didn't have the tools necessary. They almost guaranteed that nobody came in their home, but they can't tell us how Sebastian got out of the home. So therefore, we can't trust the parents because they don't know how he got out. They don't know what happened to him. According to Katie's own story, she went to bed, he was in the house. She woke up, he was not in the house. How do we know that somebody did not break into that home somehow and take him? And by the failure of law enforcement to do forensic testing, that specific DNA or any microscopic evidence that would have proved somebody entered that house or breached that home is gone. A lot of people keep saying, forensics are a lot different than DNA testing. And I think a lot of people mistaken the two. Because when I talk about forensics, people are like, why would they need DNA? His DNA is going to be all over the home. Because forensics is not DNA testing. Otherwise, I would say they need DNA testing, not forensics. Forensics is a variety. Forensics is latent prints, latent shoe prints, microscopic blood, microscopic, things that aren't seen with the naked eye, like bodily fluids, blood spatter, any kind of cleaned blood, or anything that doesn't meet the naked eye. It's clean so much so that the naked eye can't pick it up, but with these chemicals luminesce the stuff we can't see. It is a very important and critical part of the process. Remember, everybody knew Adam did something with Harmony, and why it took law enforcement so long to go inside their home, their rental home that they no longer were in, for 2.5 years. 2.5 years later, they were able to go into that home and still get enough forensics to determine that Harmony was deceased. It shouldn't take 2.5 years to get forensics from a boy's room when he was last seen there, and his parents can't tell law enforcement where he went. And I know darn well that the state attorney has the ability to get the subpoena, get the warrant for the forensics. The problem is it may just be for his room. and maybe they want to wait until they have enough for the whole house. This is the crap that I don't like with our, you get what you get what you can get when you can get it. You don't wait until it's too late. The lady has already cleaned her damn house. We got problems here. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that it's not my belief that anything Seth or Tony did was a direct result to hinder her or mock, disrespect, or anything else of Stephen Crabtree. Stephen Crabtree, I doubt, is even thought in their brain right now. You know, he's somebody that helped a long time ago. He chose not to help them anymore, out of sight, out of mind for them. They've got big issues. Like, they could care less about Stephen Crabtree. They're looking for Sebastian Rogers. So I just wanted to make sure that we were able to address that, because I don't want Stephen having his feelings hurt. I'm just saying that they weren't out there because of you, period. They were out there because their PI sent them to certain locations, and they searched those certain locations. And quite frankly, even if they're anything like me, it doesn't matter how many times you or anybody else goes out there. If I tag an area, I'm going to that area whether 15 people were there before me. If it's in an area that I've selected, because nobody's going to tell me that they cleared it, I don't believe them. You know, because you don't know what type of work they have. You don't know what type of ethics they have. You don't even know if they can work their own equipment. Just saying. So what I did learn is that there was, they were out there for three separate searches for over 3 days. They found 6 different items of interest. Out of those 6 different items of interest, they were unable to find anything that would help them locate Sebastian Rogers, okay? So in the grand scheme of things, yes, they did find things of interest, but those things did not produce results. They did snag and hook. If it didn't move, then it was concrete. But if something would move, they would look at it further. He had live scope. There was a lot of different things that they had, and Tony knows and has found a body in the past. So with the very equipment he's using. So I had brought that scan, had him send me that scan, and it's quite interesting because to the naked eye, no, you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you're looking at. And people that can't even determine this probably should not be too awfully upset. So here it is. Do you guys see the image? That is a 1-day-old deceased individual, okay, on sonar. Can't make it out, can ya? Can't make it out, can ya? So these down here are legs. That is the shadow from the light hitting through the water, and this is what a body that's only 1 day old looks like on sonar. Pretty hard to tell with the naked eye. That's why it takes trained eyes out there in the water looking. They didn't find things like this, and when they did find things like this, they had to stop and check it out. Those items of interest did not produce results. And although that was conveyed to the reporters somehow through telephone or osmosis, I don't know. It ended up being they found things of interest that they didn't discuss. No, they did. They said they were not of any type of value. They yes, they did stop. Yes, they did see some things. But unfortunately, those items of interest did not pan out, and that was rightfully conveyed to the news outlets. So I'm not sure where the misinformation or the disconnect came in. It might have been a misunderstanding, or it might have been a click and a view. I don't know what the reasoning for that is. I don't want to speculate on the reason for that is. And then somebody had sent me something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And that is related to, somebody sent me this New York Times article because we learned of Thomas Matthew Crooks. And I thought it was awfully funny that in 2018, this story came out about Rachel Crooks. Rachel Crooks came forward October 2016 and accused Donald J. Trump of misconduct in Trump Towers in 2005, some 11 years later. I don't know this lady. I don't know if it's his type. I don't care. You know, I know females around elite people, but you know what? You do have people like P. Diddy that does horrible things. I don't know what Trump did, but it seems like everything that they try to say Trump did, it seems like it's propaganda. This lady is not a Republican. I don't know what she went through, but I don't believe her. I really don't. I've read the stories. Again, don't believe her. But Rachel Crooks has the Crooks last name, and it makes me wonder who she is and if she is at all related to the assassin. And I'm going to call him an assassin because he did assassinate somebody, just the wrong target. And it makes you wonder because in 2018, she ended up, of course, unopposed in the Democrat primaries on Tuesday for the seat of Ohio House of Representatives. It makes me wonder who she is and how her name accompanies the name of a person that unalived a first responder. Now, I'm not saying that he's related to her, but I don't know how many crooks. I know a lot of crooks. I just don't know a lot of people with the Crooks last name. I know a lot. So listen, guys, I know I just got on here, but I wasn't expecting my mom to come by. So I'm going to run this a little short and we'll come back in about an hour. In between the meantime, I'm going to drop that hour and a half. I was going to do it on a premiere, but I'll just drop it as a video so I can spend some time and say hi to my mom. And then I'll be back here in about an hour or so to have this conversation. We have a lot to go over. We're going to revisit the green shirt interview, revisit Dutch's interview, revisit all the interviews like everybody else, because at the end of the day, it's lie, 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 lie. And we know that the parents, the mom and the stepfather, have not been forthcoming as to what happened. And we know that it has fractured this family. So Chris and Katie wanted to at first tell the whole world that everybody's been cleared, no harm, no foul, no nothing, right? They all been cleared and they're all working together as a cohesive. That's what their messaging was, that they're all working together. The father's done nothing wrong. The stepfather's done. They always kept clumping themselves in with Seth. And even Chris stole the reason why they didn't want a polygraph test from them. But you know what? The power of the people forced those polygraph tests, and you know it. And so the power of the people are going to force law enforcement to do their job and get in that home and do forensics. So on August 26th, if you guys are graphic designers or are really good at designing beautiful flyers, I'm not going to say I'm going to use your flyer, but I would like, if you do want to take the time to create a flyer, it's going to be August 26, 2024. The location is Sumner County Sheriff's Department. The purpose is to advocate for Sebastian Rogers, Sebastian Strong, Sebastian's Army. If anybody knows any way, if you guys have a sign company and you want to, maybe design like the signs we can hold, we want signs to do forensics. We want signs to clear Seth, and we want signs to bring Sebastian home safely. Where is Sebastian? Those are the 4 signs that I need, and I need about 5 of each. So if you can't do that, but you do have a sign company and you do have an ability to get maybe preferred pricing, if you could tell me the cost of it so we can get those costs covered to have those things signed, then I greatly appreciate it. So we just need costs. I need to have these signs here at my location before the 26th. I'm obviously going to be leaving probably August 22nd, August 21st to head to Tennessee. There is going to be a vigil as well. I think the vigil is scheduled for 2 days before the protest that I'm having at Sumner County Sheriff's Department. So for those that can, it'd be nice if you guys could come down for the vigil and just stay for the protest. I'm thinking about doing the protest from, say, like 9 to 12, a 3-hour protest. I think that would be sufficient. It'll allow us to have, prayer. It'll allow us to have commentary with one another. It will allow us to get and share some stories. If people are out in the community and don't want to send emails, don't want records, and want to pull me aside and tell me what they know, it'll be a great opportunity for you to speak to me privately and confidentially. Again, Seth and Tony will not be attending this. This is something that I am putting on, and I didn't ask for permission, but I did get the call, and again, they just can't be part of it, and that's perfectly fine. I never invited them. Right? I never invited them. And not only that, but I want to keep them arm's length away from some of this stuff that I do, because it's avocation for Sebastian, and I want Seth to keep up his strength. I want him to keep, rocking it out, going out there and searching for his son, and being able to do so while we bring avocation and fight on his behalf to try to get something done. At the end of the day, I don't want to know the information from law enforcement. Okay, I don't. I mean, I'd love to have it if it's given, but at the end of the day, our purpose is to get the parents, the father, the answers, right? We want the father communicating with law enforcement. I don't want to communicate with them. I don't want the information. I don't want the information out if it goes to the integrity of the investigation, but I still think Seth deserves to hear it and deserves to have it. And I understand that the laws in not just Tennessee, this is a standard practice. When they go into criminal investigations, they kick everybody out of the case, even the parents, even the innocent parents. This is how it goes. This is what happened in Jennifer Santinello, with Jennifer Santinello related to her daughter. This is what's happening in this case, but there's a caveat here. I feel like law enforcement is intentionally not officially clearing Seth in an effort for strategy, in an effort not to have him bring in other people, and in an effort not to shine a light on Chris and Katie. And I'm sorry, you don't do that to an innocent father that's trying to find answers for their kid because it might rock their boat. Okay, I'm sorry the way the stuff works out, and I'm sorry the path that this information, but we all know Seth had nothing to do with this. And by them putting him and making him still on that list where he can't even get the Cold Case Foundation just to get some information is wrong. They're intentionally making sure nobody can get involved in their case, even when they don't have it under control. And I think it's wrong. And we need to do something. And there's nobody that does this something better than Bullhorn Betty. So we're going to go out there, but I want to make sure the audience knows this is not where we're going to be airing out grievances. So if that's what you would like to go out there and do, it's not the time or the place to do that. We are coming here for activism and action. And I have clear action items I want to accomplish by this protest, and one of them is not condemnation. So I want to make sure that is utmost clear. We are going to be going in this community. I still have to reach out to law enforcement and get our stuff all scheduled. When I go out to Sumner County at the end of July, I will be meeting with law enforcement to find out where we can set up and how we can set up. And you guys know that when we do this, the most important thing to me is law enforcement's safety, as well as the participants in the protests' safety. Those are the only things that matter to me for us to have a successful protest. If law enforcement tells you or commands you to do something, you do not argue with law enforcement. You comply with each and every law enforcement command if it ever gets there. I control the audience out there. I control, make sure that things don't get out of hand. And I let law enforcement know that what the ACLU recommends for if there is I can't imagine somebody having counter protests to us advocating for a 15-year-old child, but there are pieces of garbage out there that are just evil and may just choose to do that. I could care less. They get the package of the ACLU. They know how to separate, and I give them guidance on how to successfully maintain. This is where we failed in Georgia, because I did not reach out to law enforcement because I was never planning on protesting. That was pushed on us by all these hate channels that wanted to send people out there to cause chaos and disruption so they could make content. We're going to limit that very much as possible. And we are going to go live, and I expect these animals to steal our lives because they don't know how to create their own content, and they're pieces of shit. So we're just going to deal with that. If you guys really want to know what's going on, you sign up to Bullhorn Betty. If you want lies and misinformation, you sign up to everybody else. It's your choice. You may not like me, but I bring the facts. They may say they're not the facts, but you know what? At the end of the day, they haven't brought anything to the table. All they brought is a bunch of complaining. Just saying. They've never given back. They've never given to a family. They've never even so much as sponsored flyers for a missing child. And they are telling us how they would do it better. Well, if you could do it better, then why are you still sitting on your ass? It's a legitimate question. If they could do it better, why are they still sitting behind their computer? They will never help these cases. They only care about their clicks and views and how much profit they're making. We on this channel do not. So we will always give back to these families. We will always do what's right for these families. And we will continue to do it despite everybody else. And guess what? I don't need anybody sitting next to me for me to do the right thing. I do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because it's the easy thing to do, unlike these other channels. So guys, if you'd like to, please sub up. Don't forget to hit the like button. I'm going to spend a few moments with my mom and Delilah, and we'll be back in about an hour or so. Actually, I'll run the Trump stuff so I can really get everybody hot and under the collar before I come live. Might as well trigger a few while we're at it. Come on, it's my it's my stuff, right? It's my stuff. I can do it if I want to. It's my channel, right? It ain't hurting nobody. It might be hurting some feelings, but it ain't hurting nobody. All right, guys. God bless. We'll see you soon.